Welcome to the deep dive.
You know that feeling, that immediate, really visceral moment when you're suddenly awake way before your alarm?
Uh-huh.
Not because you're excited or rested, but there's this quiet hum inside, almost a tension.
Yeah, like a pressure, maybe behind the eyes, or just a heaviness deep down somewhere. It's 5:55 a.m. The day hasn't even technically started, but you're already feeling hurried, accelerated inside.
Right, and you immediately try to explain it away, don't you? Your mind jumps in like, oh, it's just that deadline, or, I just didn't sleep well. Maybe more coffee will fix this.
We are brilliant at that immediate self-deception. We grab the simplest label, usually something external, something fixable.
But deep down, if you really pause, it's not just anything. You feel split somehow.
Exactly. That's the word, split. There's one part of you, the performer, already gearing up, planning the emails, making the lunch, putting the smile on for the meeting. The part that says, I'm fine, really.
And convinces itself it is fine.
Mm-hmm. But then there's this other part, standing back,
Sure.
silent, just watching. Yeah. The part that didn't really rest, the part holding on to, I don't know, the sadness from yesterday.
Yeah.
Or the frustration, the stuff that just didn't get dealt with. The hidden self.
And that's what this deep dive is really about. It's an invitation, maybe, to turn towards that hidden self. Because the perspective we're exploring today, rooted in Gestalt awareness, it insists that this part isn't broken. It's not a flaw to be fixed.
Yeah.
It's actually incredibly alive. And all that discomfort, that hum, that tension, that's its way of trying to get your attention. It's trying to communicate. This is about moving towards wholeness.
So Gestalt awareness,
Mm-hmm.
it asks a pretty radical question then, doesn't it? Especially for us living in this hyper-productive, rational world.
It does. It asks, what are you actually feeling right now? Not the story about the feeling, not the label, but the raw sensation. In your body, where is it? What's its texture?
And why do we skip that? Why are we so good at jumping straight past the feeling to the fix?
That's the habit, the learned pattern. We're taught, often implicitly, that the sensation itself isn't important, or maybe it's even dangerous, but that nothing you might feel when you first try to tune in, that slight unease, or maybe even a blankness,
Yeah.
that's not nothing. That is everything. That's the starting point. That's the ground we're going to walk on today. How to stop skipping and start meeting what's right here.
Okay, let's start with that split self.
Yeah.
Because you're right, we are incredibly skilled at managing the surface, the performance. It's almost tragically brilliant how we hide things.
It really is. We hide the part of us that didn't rest, the part that didn't get to speak its truth yesterday. We just keep moving, answering the emails, making the lunches, saying, I'm fine, with that smile that doesn't quite
Reach the eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And look, this is often adaptive. We learned early on that showing certain feelings, maybe anger, maybe vulnerability, maybe even excitement wasn't always safe. It could lead to rejection or feeling overwhelmed or making others uncomfortable.
So we built a wall, a very efficient wall, between what we show and what's really going on inside.
We did. And in Gestalt terms, that surface, that part we show, the part we're focused on, the emails, the competence, the I'm fine, that's what we call the figure.
Okay, the figure, like the main focus in a picture, what you notice first.
Precisely. It's what you're actively paying attention to, what you name, what you allow into your conscious awareness. It's the melody playing right now.
But the cost of having that really clear functional figure is that other stuff gets pushed into the background, the ground.
And this is key. The ground isn't just passive background noise. It's not empty.
Right. You said it's alive. What does that mean, really, what's in the ground?
Think of it as everything else. The background hum, yes, but also the stored tension in your shoulders, the slight ache in your gut, the flicker of anger you dismissed as not a big deal, the grief you told yourself you should be over by now.
Wow, so it's like a reservoir.
A vast, deep reservoir of unfinished experiences, unexpressed emotions, undigested life, really, all the whispers you've learned to tune out.
So the quiet revolution here, the big shift in perspective, is that this ground isn't just sitting there quietly.
Not at all. It's dynamic. It's pulsing with life, with energy that hasn't completed its cycle. And it's constantly, gently at first, then maybe more insistently, trying to become figure.
Trying to get noticed.
Trying to emerge, to be seen, felt, acknowledged, so it can complete whatever process was interrupted. The whole system, your whole being, is actually striving for integration, for wholeness.
But we spend so much energy pushing it back down. That tension we feel, Is it the effort of keeping the ground in the ground?
That's a huge part of it. It is physically and psychologically exhausting. Imagine like holding a beach ball underwater all day. That constant pressure, that's the work of repression.
Wow.
And in our culture, especially in competitive or professional environments, emotional control is often seen as a virtue, right? Strength means not showing messy feelings.
Yeah, definitely. Being overwhelmed is seen as weak, a failure.
So we invest enormous energy in hiding what's actually a vital, natural part of our human experience. We pathologize feelings instead of seeing them as messengers.
And when you keep shoving that living, pulsing ground back down, eventually it has to go somewhere. It starts to leak out.
Exactly. The pressure becomes too much. The container starts to crack. And because the feeling can't come out cleanly like a simple, direct, I need rest, or that wasn't okay with me, it gets distorted.
It leaks out sideways.
Sideways, yeah. Or it thickens, like you said. It builds up, and then, boom, it explodes in ways that seem completely out of proportion to the trigger.
That's the classic example, isn't it? The sudden white-hot rage over a single dirty dish left in the sink.
Or the car in front that braked a little too slowly and you just lose it. That rage isn't really about the dish or the car.
It's the ground leaking.
It's the ground leaking. It's accumulated frustration, maybe weeks of unspoken boundary violations, or just sheer exhaustion finally finding a tiny escape valve.
Or those times you find yourself crying in the shower for apparently no reason.
Yes. Or that numb, flat feeling where you just scroll endlessly on your phone, desperately seeking any kind of feeling, any connection, because the numbness is so terrifying.
And the exhaustion, the kind that sleep doesn't fix.
That bone-deep exhaustion, that's often the system basically saying, I give up, I can't keep holding this beach ball underwater anymore. It's not a malfunction, it's the system signaling overload.
Let's make this really concrete with the case study from the outline, Maria. The 38-year-old project manager, mother, wife, looks like she has it all together.
She's the perfect figure, isn't she? On paper, she's thriving. Got the promotion, house is immaculate, calendar perfectly organized. Her performance of wellness and competence is flawless.
And she reinforces this split every single morning, waking up at 5:45 a.m. before the alarm, driven by that anxiety to stay ahead, stay in control.
Saying yes to everything. Because deep down, she likely equates her capacity, her ability to handle it all, with her worth. If she stops, if she says no, what does that mean about her?
So her system is just running on fumes. Obligation, not real energy.
Absolutely. And the split, the cost of this performance, becomes painfully obvious every night. Around 9 p.m., the momentum stops, the demands lessen. She sits down.
And feels hollow.
Flat, empty. A terrifying void opens up, and her immediate reaction, the habit, is to analyze it away. Oh, I'm just tired. I really need that vacation.
Yeah.
She tries to slap a rational label on the raw feeling of emptiness.
To avoid actually feeling the hollowness.
Yes. But the ground, that reservoir of unmet needs, of exhaustion, of maybe even resentment, it starts to push back. It insists on being noticed through those little rebellions.
Right, forgetting things, like not texting her mom back for days.
Exactly. Small slips in the perfect performance. Or snapping unexpectedly at her daughter over something tiny, then feeling crushed by guilt because the reaction felt so out of sync with the trigger.
And that feeling of distance from her husband?
Yeah.
Feeling like she's the stranger because she's so cut off from herself?
That's often the most painful part. The disconnection from loved ones mirrors the internal disconnection. You can't be truly present with others when you're not present with yourself.
And it all comes to a head in that Zoom meeting. Her throat closes up. Why is that physical symptom so significant?
Because the body doesn't lie. That physiological shutdown, the throat closing, maybe eyes burning, the literal inability to speak or perform her role, that was the figure collapsing under the strain. The body just said, nope, cannot do this performance 1 second longer.
And she goes to the bathroom floor.
Yes. And the crucial shift happens there. She doesn't try to fix it. She doesn't immediately analyze why it happened or what she needs to do about it.
She just sits.
She sits, she lets the ache be there, she lets the trembling happen. She allows the sheer crushing weight of the exhaustion and maybe the unspoken grief or frustration, everything she'd kept in the ground, to finally rise and become the figure. Just for a moment.
Without judgment.
Ideally, yes. Or at least without immediately trying to push it away. The simple act of presence, of meeting the feeling instead of running, that's the beginning of healing. It's recognizing that the hidden part wasn't an enemy to be vanquished, but maybe an utterly exhausted messenger finally getting through. So if we track Maria's experience, we see something vital. Before we jump to label it, oh, she's burned out or she has anxiety, there's the raw, lived sensation itself.
Right, the trembling, the ache, the throat closing.
Exactly. And Gestalt awareness really invites us, urges us to start there. Before the why, meet the what. What is the feeling? Where is it in your body? Radical presence to the sensation first, not the problem-solving mind.
Okay. And that focus on the present sensation, it leads us right to the mechanism that keeps that ground down, that keeps us split, which you call interruption.
Interruption. It's often incredibly subtle. A flicker. That micro moment where you hold your breath just as anger rises.
Or blink back a tear, or swallow hard.
Or disguise a sigh as a yawn. Or quickly change the subject. It's the instant the rise in energy, the emerging figure from the ground, is cut off and tucked back away.
And you mentioned this disrupts a natural cycle, the cycle of experience.
Yes. Understanding this cycle helps see the cost of interruption. It's a natural biological flow. It starts with sensation, could be physical, like hunger, or emotional, like a pang of sadness, or relational, like feeling unseen.
Okay. Sensation first.
Then naturally comes awareness.
Yeah.
Ah, I'm hungry. Oh, I feel sad. I notice I don't feel heard right now. You recognize the sensation.
Makes sense.
Awareness then leads to mobilization. Energy starts to gather. Your body prepares to act. You feel an impulse to move towards food, or maybe withdraw to feel the sadness, or lean in to speak your piece.
So energy builds up.
Yes, which naturally flows into action. You actually get the food, or you let the tears flow, or you say, hey, I need to say something here.
In the final step.
Completion. Or satisfaction. The need is met, the feeling is expressed, the boundary is set, there's a sense of release, of settling, the cycle is complete, the energy discharges.
Okay, so interruption jams that cycle up.
Yeah.
Where does it usually happen?
Most often it happens between awareness and mobilization, or between mobilization and action. You become aware of the feeling, I'm angry, but you immediately shut down the energy rising to express it.
You cut off the mobilization.
Exactly. Or the energy mobilizes, you feel that heat, that readiness to speak, but you stop yourself right before the action. You swallow the words.
And that energy, it doesn't just vanish, does it?
No, that's the crucial point. Energy can't be destroyed. If it's mobilized for action and then blocked, it has to go somewhere. It turns inward. It gets stored in the body.
That's tension.
That's chronic tension, yes. Or sometimes as anxiety or numbness or even physical symptoms. The energy meant for shouting might become a permanently tight jaw or a knot in your shoulder. The energy meant for crying might become a heavy weight in your chest.
So the body is keeping score, holding on to all those interrupted cycles.
Always. The body is the most honest historian of our lives. We often treat chronic symptoms, headaches, digestive issues, back pain, fatigue as purely mechanical problems. But sometimes they are monuments to unfinished emotional business. They are the echoes of interrupted cycles.
Let's bring in Daniel, the architect, the 42-year-old calm one. He sounds like someone who interrupts himself a lot.
He's built an identity around it. Reliability, unflappability. He prides himself on not making a scene, on being the steady one everyone can count on. Control is his primary value.
But his body is telling a different story.
Absolutely. Waking up with a clenched jaw, sometimes chipping teeth in his sleep, shoulders like rocks. That constant sour stomach he blames on stress or coffee.
He's managing the figure that a calm, reliable architect while totally ignoring the ground, which sounds like it's screaming.
It is. He labels the symptoms stress and tries external fixes, maybe a mouth guard, maybe changing his diet, maybe getting a more ergonomic chair. He's trying to manage the effects without ever touching the cause, which is the repressed emotional life.
And that critical interruption moment happens when his partner tries to connect.
Yes. His partner says something gentle like, hey, can we talk? You seem kind of distant lately. And in that instant, for Daniel, the entire repressed ground surges forward.
All the unmet needs, the loneliness.
All of it. He feels a sudden heat rush to his face, maybe a pressure building in his chest. He can almost taste the real words wanting to claw their way out. I'm exhausted pretending. I feel so alone sometimes. I need you to see me, not just my competence.
But he stops it. How? What's the physical mechanism of his interruption?
It's likely a lightning-fast, deeply ingrained reflex. Maybe a subtle tightening in the throat, a quick intake and holding of breath, a clamping down in the gut, perhaps blinking rapidly, averting his gaze slightly. The internal storm is contained, swallowed.
And outwardly?
Outwardly, he summons the familiar figure, a calm nod, the steady voice, the slight, perhaps strained, smile. Yeah, sure, what's up? The moment passes. The truth retreats back underground.
He obeyed the old programming.
Exactly. These aren't conscious, cruel decisions. They are survival patterns running on autopilot. Deeply embodied beliefs or scripts learned long ago.
Like what? What kind of scripts might be running him?
Could be anything like, showing vulnerability is dangerous. If I express my needs, I'll be rejected or abandoned. Men need to be strong and handle things alone. Anger will destroy connection.
And those scripts translate directly into physical commands for the body.
Yes. The script essentially tells the nervous system, danger, threat detected. Shut down the feeling, hold the line, do not show. Clamp down, hold your breath, tense the muscles.
So each time he successfully interrupts, he's not actually solving the loneliness or the need. He's just reinforcing the pattern,
Well,
creating more tension.
he's reinforcing the pattern and deepening the split. He's teaching his nervous system again and again that his authentic feelings are unsafe, unacceptable. And that repressed energy has to go somewhere. It becomes chronic irritability, distance, the physical armor of tension. So the goal here isn't to judge Daniel or ourselves for these interruptions, it's to get incredibly curious about them. Where did I learn to do that? What was I protecting? The interruption itself becomes a map, showing us exactly where we learn to hide the most vulnerable, precious parts of ourselves.
Okay, so if interruption is the mechanism keeping us split, how do we move towards wholeness? You're saying the approach is kind of counterintuitive,
Yeah.
not about fixing.
It really is. Our default mode is identify the problem, find the solution, fix it, optimize, control.
Right.
The Gestalt approach is radical here. It says, don't try to fix the interruption, just witness it with curiosity. Don't fight the avoidance, feel the avoidance itself. What does it feel like in your body to want to run away from this feeling?
And don't shame the defense mechanism.
Absolutely not. Thank it. The habit of swallowing your anger, it probably kept you safe in a childhood home where anger wasn't allowed. That pattern of people-pleasing, it might have been essential for connection once. So we approach these patterns with respect, even gratitude. They helped us survive.
Okay, so witness, don't fix, feel the avoidance, thank the defense. How do we actually do that?
We slow way, way down. We try to catch that microsecond before the feeling gets swallowed. Right as the heat starts to rise, or the tears well up, or the jaw clenches, we pause. What tightens first? What thought flashes through my mind right then? Oh no, don't cry, or be nice. That tiny moment, that's the doorway back to the ground.
And you keep emphasizing the body. It's not just reporting the truth, you said. The body is the truth.
Yes. Before language, before judgment, before the story we tell ourselves, there is the felt sense. The body holds the raw data, the emotion, the memory, the energy of the unfinished experience lives in the tissue.
So it bypasses the analytical mind.
It has to, because the mind is often the architect of the interruption. If we ask Daniel, why do you feel disconnected? His brilliant mind will generate perfectly reasonable explanations that keep the real feeling safely buried.
So instead you ask.
We bring it right back to the present embodied moment. Okay, Daniel, as you talk about that conversation with your partner, where do you feel something right now? Is there a tightness anywhere? A coolness? A pressure? We anchor him in the physical sensation.
Making the pattern visible, but as information, not a flaw.
Exactly. There's that familiar clench in my stomach when I think about needing something. Suddenly the pattern isn't just an abstract idea, it's a felt reality. And once you can feel it, you can start to relate to it differently. You can breathe into it instead of automatically obeying it.
Let's talk about the avoidance itself.
Yeah.
You said it points to something precious.
Yes. Think about it. Why would we avoid something unless it held immense power or significance? The places where we feel the strongest urge to avoid, to numb out, to distract ourselves, those places often guard our deepest needs, our most vulnerable emotions.
Like intense grief, or maybe rage, or even profound desire. Things that felt too big or too dangerous to hold at some point.
Precisely. Things that were perhaps shamed or punished or simply not met when they first arose, so the system learned. Feeling that is unsafe, keep it locked away. Avoidance becomes a protective measure around something incredibly tender.
And because it feels unsafe to feel it in here, inside ourselves, we push it out there. Is that where projection comes in?
That's exactly where projection becomes such a fascinating and useful concept in this context. It's not just a defense mechanism in the psychoanalytic sense, it's an active process of relocating our own disowned parts onto the external world.
Can you break that down? How does it work?
Basically, the energy of the feeling or need that you refuse to own in yourself, let's say, your own deep neediness, doesn't just disappear. It seeks expression. So you might find yourself intensely irritated by or critical of someone else's perceived neediness.
Ah, okay, so what I react to strongly out there might actually be something I'm denying in here.
Very often, yes. The things that push your buttons the most in other people are frequently mirrors reflecting back parts of your own repressed ground. If you find yourself constantly judging others for being lazy or unproductive,
Maybe I should look at my own denied need for rest, or my fear of not being productive enough.
exactly. Or if you're always seeing aggression or anger in others, where might your own unexpressed anger be hiding? Projection acts like a pointer, showing you precisely which aspects of your own experience you've exiled. It's like your system is trying to get your attention by highlighting the issue externally, since you won't look at it internally.
It's a clever, if painful, way the system tries to communicate.
It is. It keeps the feeling alive, but at a safe distance, located in someone else. The work then becomes reeling that projection back in, asking, okay, what aspect of me is being reflected in my judgment of this person?
Let's connect this back to Daniel, the architect. His big frustration was his partner being too emotionally needy.
Right, that was his figure story. The problem is her neediness. It allowed him to maintain his position as the calm, contained one and locate the problem outside himself.
But the revelation came when you realized it was a projection.
Yes. And crucially, this wasn't just an intellectual aha moment. It happened somatically in his body. He might have been talking about his frustration with her, maybe using dismissive language.
And suddenly,
Suddenly, he feels something shift in him. Maybe his hands start to tremble unexpectedly, or a wave of heat or cold washes over him. Maybe his chest tightens not with annoyance, but with a deep, surprising ache of sadness or longing.
his own neediness surfaced.
His own profound, unmet, starving need to be held, to be seen not just for his competence, but in his exhaustion and vulnerability. The need to put down the bricks of responsibility and just be cared for without having to earn it. His intense reaction to her perceived neediness was masking the intensity of his own.
Wow. And feeling that tremble, that ache,
Yeah.
that was the breakthrough.
That was the moment the projection started to dissolve. He momentarily stopped abandoning that vulnerable, needy part of himself and allowed it to be felt, to be present. He started to reclaim it.
By stopping the fixing and just owning the feeling.
Yes, even for a moment. The simple, courageous internal whisper, oh, this feeling, this is mine too. I feel this. That's the beginning of reclaiming wholeness. The tension starts to ease when we stop fighting ourselves.
So we've seen the split, understood the interruption, and started reclaiming parts through presence and recognizing projection. Now we arrive at the final stage you mentioned, completion. And you stressed it's not about a neat, tidy ending where the pain just vanishes.
No, not at all. Completion in this sense isn't necessarily resolution in the way we usually think of it, like the problem is solved and gone forever. It's more about stopping the struggle against the feeling.
Stopping the running.
Stopping the running, stopping the hiding, stopping the pretending internally. It means allowing the feeling, whether it's grief, anger, fear, joy, need to fully land, to be here now, to be felt all the way through its natural cycle without us interfering, judging, or trying to rush it along or cut it short.
Letting the wave crest and recede naturally.
Exactly. It's the quiet miracle of allowing the cycle of experience we talked about, sensation, awareness, mobilization, action, completion, to finally reach its natural end, its release. Even if the action is simply allowing tears to fall or allowing a boundary to be spoken internally first.
The story of Elena, the 51-year-old teacher and widow, really illustrates this, doesn't it? 7 years of being strong.
Elena is a powerful example of prolonged interruption, specifically interrupting the natural cycle of grief. She spent 7 years dedicating enormous energy to maintaining the figure of resilience, of coping well.
Because she was afraid.
Deeply afraid. She had this core belief, common in unresolved grief, that if she ever truly let herself start crying, the dam would break and she would literally never stop, that the grief would overwhelm and annihilate her.
So she had this ritual of sitting in her car every night.
Yes, a heartbreakingly poignant ritual. Before going into the empty house, she'd sit in the car for 15 minutes, bracing herself, breathing through the waves of pain, consciously containing them so she wouldn't fall apart inside. She was actively interrupting the mobilization of grief every single day.
That fear of being overwhelmed, It feels like the biggest hurdle for most of us in allowing completion.
It absolutely is. It's the fear that the ground, if we finally let it rise, will completely swamp the figure, that we'll lose control, lose ourselves.
So her breakthrough wasn't some dramatic therapy session.
No, it was beautifully mundane. A rainy Tuesday. She gets home soaked, maybe lets out a small laugh at how drenched she is. And instead of the usual rush to get inside, dry off, get busy, she just stands there in the mudroom.
She paused.
She paused. She allowed herself to feel the physical sensations, the cold, the dampness, the weight of her coat, maybe the ache in her feet. And then, without any conscious decision, she just sank to the floor.
And the dam didn't break with a crash.
No. The source described it beautifully. It broke with a sigh, a deep, releasing sigh. She knelt there, felt the cold floor, breathed, and finally whispered the words that had been stuck for 7 years. I miss you. Well, that was it. That simple, honest acknowledgement, spoken into the reality of the moment, allowed the grief cycle, paused for so long, to finally move towards completion. Not necessarily explosive sobbing, but an integrated release, a deep letting go into the feeling, not fighting it anymore.
So she moved through the grief, not on from it. She stopped seeing it as an enemy.
Precisely. She allowed it to become a presence she could hold, rather than a threat she had to constantly battle.
And that changes everything, doesn't it? The ache might still be there sometimes, seeing his favorite cereal, or on their anniversary, but it's different now.
It's completely transformed. Because she's no longer spending energy resisting it or labeling it as her failure or weakness. She recognizes the ache now as love, the enduring presence of love for what was lost. That is integration.
Turning the burden into belonging. The wound to wisdom.
Beautifully put. Yes, completion integrates the pain. It doesn't erase it, but it weaves it into the fabric of who she is now. The weight is still there, perhaps, but she's carrying it with herself, consciously, lovingly, instead of fighting it alone in the dark.
This really reframes those negative emotions we try so hard to avoid. Anger, sadness, fear.
But they are vital messengers, part of our innate wisdom. Anger is just mobilized energy trying to protect a boundary, saying no or this matters. Sadness is often the felt sense of love for something lost or empathy. Fear is ancient wisdom, alerting us to potential danger or reminding us where we got hurt before, urging caution.
And numbness.
Numbness is often profound protection. The system shutting down sensation when things feel too overwhelming. It needs acknowledgement, not judgment. It might be saying, I need rest. I need safety before I can feel again. They are all trying to bring us back home, back into balance.
Let's circle back to Daniel. How did allowing completion change him? Did he suddenly become overly emotional or dramatic?
Not at all. He didn't become some caricature. He just became more Daniel. More honest, more authentically messy, which ironically often leads to a deeper kind of calm and connection.
So what did completion look like for him day to day?
It looked like micro-completions. Maybe feeling that familiar heat of frustration rising when dealing with a difficult client, and instead of instantly swallowing it, he takes a minute in his office or car, allows himself to feel the heat, maybe lets a few frustrated tears fall for 60 seconds, breathes, and lets the energy move through instead of getting stuck.
Or with his partner?
Maybe allowing his voice to shake a little when he says, actually, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now. I need a moment, instead of defaulting to the, I'm fine, I can handle it script. Allowing the physical softening, even when it feels vulnerable, feels like losing control.
It's the ground he feared so much, it didn't swallow him.
It supported him. When he stopped fighting it and started allowing it, he found it wasn't a monster. It was just life energy, unprocessed experience. And he began to recognize the old interruption patterns, the jaw clench, the held breath, not as commands he had to obey, but as signposts.
Signpost saying,
Okay, here's a place where I learned to hide. Here's where I learned vulnerability wasn't safe. And instead of automatically following the old diversion route, he could pause, breathe into the sensation the signpost pointed to, and choose presence instead of obedience, allowing what was already there to finally integrate, transforming mere survival into genuine aliveness. Hashtag tag outro.
This whole exploration, this deep dive,
Yeah.
it really feels like it's about a reunion, doesn't it? An emotional, physical coming home. Coming home to all those parts of ourselves. The messy ones, the angry ones, the sad ones, the needy ones, the parts that have been waiting in the shadows, just whispering, hey, I'm still here. Notice me.
It really boils down to that. The core act isn't some complicated technique. It's simply ceasing the effort to push down what is already undeniably present within you.
Because what you resist persists.
It persists with exactly the same amount of energy you're using to resist it. It's physics, almost. But what you can welcome, what you can allow, even if it's uncomfortable, that energy gets freed up. It integrates, becomes part of your available resource, your wholeness, letting the hidden ground finally rise and become figure, just allowing it to be seen first and foremost by you.
So thinking about the listener, what's one small thing, one actionable step they could take away from this to start practicing this kind of presence?
It's incredibly simple, but profoundly powerful. We could call it the 10-second pause. Just for 1 week, try this a few times a day. In the middle of the busyness, the scrolling, the performing of, I'm fine, just stop. Literally stop moving. Maybe plant your feet on the floor. Take one conscious breath, and then softly, kindly, curiously ask inside, what's living in my background right now? Not what's wrong or what do I need to fix, just what wants to be felt.
And don't jump to analyze the answer.
No, resist the urge to label it immediately. Just feel, is it a tightness, a flutter, an ache, a restlessness, a numbness, a warmth, whatever the texture is, just meet that direct sensation with presence, with a gentle internal whisper of, okay, I feel you, I see you, just for this moment, I'm not running, I'm not leaving. That's it, 10 seconds of meeting yourself.
That feels doable, but powerful.
It is, because the most profound shift doesn't come from trying to rearrange the external circumstances of your life. It comes from changing your relationship to your internal experience, trying to fully feel the life you actually have right now. The feelings themselves don't destroy you, the resistance to them does. The running exhausts you. The feelings, when met, actually deepen you. True bravery, perhaps, isn't in the strength it takes to keep the walls up, but in the courage to let the hidden parts rise, to be witnessed, and ultimately to be welcomed home by you. That's where the possibility for deep healing really opens up.